a federal court here in Montgomery, Alabama. We stopped the so-called march from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama, because we understood ourselves at that time what a colossal undertaking it would be to provide safety and security, not only for the marchers, but the vehicular traffic and the other citizens of this state and nation who customarily use that highway. To show you that we understood when others did not, and evidently the federal courts do not, I have a telegram in my hand from one of the leaders of the march that says that we expect you to meet health and safety needs of 5,000 marchers. This telegram addressed to me, the governor of Alabama, to meet health and safety needs of 5,000 marchers Sunday the 21st of March over 12 miles of U.S. Highway 80, of 300 marches Monday the 22nd, Tuesday the 23rd, and Wednesday the 24th, and Thursday, March the 25th on the same highway to Montgomery, of 5,000 to 10,000 demonstrators who need some facilities within Montgomery, Thursday, 25th, on the final 4 miles of state capital. State responsibility can be met adequately by providing the following minimum needs: 6 equipped ambulances, 2 mobile aid stations, 9 300-gallon water trailers, portable toilet facilities, 2 rubbish disposal trucks and containers, mobile radio communications for coordination, adequate medical personnel, physicians, nurses, and aidmen, state control, protection, and coordination of all above medical and public health activities. The original sent to Governor Wallace, copies to Jose Williams, SCLC, Auburn Avenue, Atlanta, Randolph Blackwell, Southern Conference Leadership Union, Auburn Avenue, Atlanta, Colonel Albert Lingo, Executive Officers of the Alabama State Troopers, State Capitol, Montgomery, Alabama, Dr. Fred Solomon, College of Medicine, Howard University, Washington, D.C. Signed, Aaron O. Wells, M.D., Medical Committee for Human Rights, Jose Williams, Coordinator of March on Montgomery, Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Great and dedicated men of the past worked diligently and honestly to establish the integrity and the justice of our court system. From their work has come a faith by the people in the courts and the dignity and respect accorded to the courts that has been the rock upon which our House of Freedom has rested. And of course that integrity and faith has been shaken in the last number of years. Now they say our courts are too slow. We must therefore submit to the speedy expediencies of mob rule. That a federal judge concurs and prostitutes our law in favor of that mob rule, while hypocritically wearing the robes and clothed in the respect built by great and honest men, is a tragedy and sorrow beyond any words. Here are a few examples of what Judge Johnson embraces as peaceful demonstrations. These demonstrations, wielding knives, have slashed the clothing of law enforcement officers. They have thrown bricks and bottles at law enforcement officers and at passing automobiles, including a car driven by a member of the legislature. They have smashed windows, have invaded courtrooms in Perry and Dallas County. They have laid down in the streets, refusing to let even ambulance pass through. They have invaded the front yards and front porches of private homes and refused to move. They have been granted the right to deny the use of public streets and sidewalks to other citizens to the exclusive use of demonstrators. They are mobs employing the street warfare tactics of the communists, and it is upon these people and upon their anarchy that a federal judge, presiding over a mock court, places a stamp of approval as their rights. And now that federal judge compounds the anarchy by ordering the state of Alabama to protect this street army on its march from Selma. Perhaps it would be well to see what plans were necessary for a one-day demonstration in Washington. Official sources tell us what the federal government did to keep the Washington March peaceful. Under military planning, directed by Lieutenant Colonel John Downey, 4,000 combat troops, including 1 Marine battalion, was stationed in Washington and maintained on an alert status. In addition to these groups, the Army provided an additional 2,500 combat battalion troops, which were held available at Army posts on the outskirts of Washington. 26 teams of 2 to 4 men, a team, were assigned to select areas in Washington for the purpose of observing and reporting any disorder. All leave for members of the police department were canceled for the week of August 25th in order that the force would be at its full strength of 2,900 men. In addition, 500 civilian reserves were on duty in outlying precincts to preserve the peace around the perimeter of the district. In fact, without going into any more details, it took nearly 30,000 people to provide a peaceful march of one day in Washington, and it cost out of pocket $805,000 for the one day in Washington. We have reliable information that over 200 nationally known entertainers are coming into this state for this demonstration. The call has gone out from the demonstration leaders for every left-wing, pro-communist fellow traveler and communist in the country to be here, and we know that we can expect them along with the usual number of dupes and poor, misguided individuals. Any reasonable person can see that this well-planned, well-financed assault is going to be much more difficult to control than was the one-day march on Washington. May I remind you again that we have practically all the same groups behind the Alabama demonstrations who planned and instigated the Washington March. If this financial burden were imposed upon the state, the money would be taken from monies which otherwise would be used for the care of our sick and infirm, both white and Negro, which would provide for the care of tuberculosis patients, both white and Negro, which provide for our program for aid-dependent children, the majority of whom are Negroes, and many other people of our state whose care and comfort and health depend on such funds. It would cost, I am sure that if the facts were known, there are a number of Alabamians who have met their deaths on the highways because of the lack of protection in the last number of weeks, either from drunken driving or careless drivers, which would have been taken off the highway had the law enforcement officials been carrying on their normal duties. We see today a foreign philosophy that says to the people, you need not bother to work and meet qualifications of a free man. All you must do is demonstrate and cause chaos and create a situation whereby our propagandists, masquerading as newsmen, may destroy faith in local law enforcement and may impugn the decency of local law enforcement so that we may take all police powers unto the central government. That is the ominous price that tonight I should like to ask you, the people of Alabama, for restraint. I am asking you to stay away from the points of tension, if at all possible. I do not ask you for cowardice, but I ask you for restraint in the same tradition that our outnumbered forefathers followed. I ask you not to play into the hands of the enemies of our nation and our freedom. I ask you to hold firmly, and I ask you to exercise that superior discipline that is yours. I ask you to do, if you will, the same that you did when I stood at Tuscaloosa, Alabama, to stay home and let's have peace. Outside the door of my office there stands a monument, and on it these words are written, Fame's temple boasts no higher name, no king in grandeur on his throne, no glory shines with brighter gleam. The name of patriot stands alone. I ask you tonight for patriotism in its finest hour and its highest duty, and I ask you to restrain yourself. And I hope that at the time this march takes place, that you will stay at your workbench, that you will stay at your home, and that you will let this matter be handled by those who are in authority. Our security forces have today told us, after thorough study, what it will take to police this march. For maximum security on a 50-mile road when there was only 10 miles to secure in Washington during that march, it will take 2,057 personnel on a 24-hour shift, 163 cars and 15 buses, It will take 4,114 men on a 12-hour shift, and a like increase in the number of vehicles. On an 8-hour shift for maximum security, it will take 6,171 law enforcement personnel. For limited security, it will take on a 24-hour shift 772 personnel, on a 12-hour shift 1,544, and on an 8-hour shift 2,316. The other day, the leader of the demonstration said, "We will obey. We will do our duty. We will not abdicate our responsibility to provide protection in as best we can, because that is the duty of your governor and the state." I said on national television that we would obey court orders, even though those who lead the demonstration say they will decide whether the order is just or unjust. In view of